I weaponized my laptop's comparison folder against the man who loved me, and everybody thinks I just made one careless comment. They're wrong. I spent 8 months dissecting Marcus's body like a forensic accountant of imperfection, cataloging every discrepancy between his flesh and the celebrity gods I worshipped online. My hands are filthy with this. What they don't understand is that I would have lost my entire career if I hadn't done it. My brand, 200,000 followers strong, was built on ruthless, unflinching aesthetic analysis. The Patreon subscriptions alone paid my rent. When Marcus discovered the private archive, he didn't just leave, he evaporated, taking our apartment deposit and my credibility with him. All anyone remembers is the single Instagram caption that went viral, but that was just the tip of a very carefully constructed iceberg. Before this week, I would have told you I was providing a service. Now, sitting in this empty apartment with his toothbrush still in the holder, I realize I need to explain how a body-positive influencer became the very monster she claimed to fight. The truth about the spreadsheet, the paid tiers, and why my best friend's new relationship isn't the betrayal it looks like. That's all coming. But first, you need to understand the calculus of self-loathing that made me do it. I started the comparison project during my Skinny Tea sponsorship era, back when my entire feed was before and after transformations that made me a fortune in affiliate links. Marcus was supportive in the beginning. He'd rub my shoulders while I edited photos, bringing me chamomile when I stayed up until 3 analyzing jawlines and shoulder-to-waist ratios for my aesthetic breakdown series. My followers loved the way I could spot a Facetune disaster or a steroid cycle from a single poolside photo. The Patreon subscribers paid extra for unfiltered takes, where I go full savage on celebrity bodies, pointing out every flaw with surgical precision. The first hint something was wrong happened during a beach trip last June. Marcus took his shirt off and I instinctively reached for my phone to photograph his obliques, not for desire, but for analysis. I caught myself mid-motion, my camera app open, mentally nodding how his waist lacked the V-cut that sold 1,000 protein powders. I didn't take the photo, but I wanted to. That's the moment I should have deleted the whole project. Instead, I created the folder. It began innocently enough, just a few screenshots for personal reference. I'd scroll through celebrity thirst traps and save them to a desktop folder labeled Market Research. Marcus never used my laptop, so I told myself it was harmless. The first comparison was Chris Hemsworth's deltoids versus Marcus's shoulders. I wrote notes in the metadata: a good mass but lacks separation. Could use more lateral raise work. Professional, almost clinical. I was just applying my expertise to my private life. That's what I told myself at 10 through this disaster when the defensiveness first hardened into doctrine. By July, I developed a system. Each body part got its own subfolder. Pectorals, abdominals, quadriceps. I'd rate Marcus's physique against 3 celebrities per category, assigning numerical scores and writing improvement notes. The rationalization was flawless in my mind. I was helping him. If he ever wanted to compete in physique shows, a dream he'd mentioned exactly once, drunk at a wedding, he'd need this objective analysis. My best friend Jenna saw the laptop open once and asked why I had a spreadsheet tracking Marcus's muscle insertions. I laughed it off as a fitness goals document we were working on together. She gave me that look, the one where her smile doesn't reach her eyes, and changed the subject. I should have registered the warning in her voice. The truth bomb hit in August when Marcus found the folder, or so I thought. I'd left my laptop open during a FaceTime call with my mother. He was supposed to be at the gym for another hour, but he came home early, silent as a ghost. I found him staring at the screen, the spreadsheet glowing in the dark room. "You're scoring my body parts?" he asked, his voice flat as a lake at dawn. I panicked, told him it was for a client who wanted a similar analysis. A celebrity trainer had commissioned it as a case study. The lie tasted like copper in my mouth, but he believed me, or pretended to. He closed the laptop and said we needed to talk about boundaries. I agreed, deleted the desktop shortcut, and moved everything to an external drive. Problem solved, I thought. But at 22 through this confession, you need to know he didn't believe me for a second. He just needed time to process how deep this actually went. What spiraled everything was the Patreon tier I created in September. I've been posting casual comparisons to my 25-month subscribers for weeks. Just celebrity bodies, nothing personal. Then one drunk night, feeling inadequate after a brand partnership fell through, I uploaded a side-by-side Marcus's beach photo from our vacation, unedited, next to Henry Cavill on set. The caption read, "Real boyfriend versus fantasy. Discuss." My subscribers went wild. The engagement tripled. I made $800 in 3 days from that single post. The dopamine hit was better than any compliment Marcus had ever given me. That's when the consequences became irreversible. I started posting him regularly, always with analysis language to justify it. Evaluating natural versus enhanced physiques. The cost of a 9 to 5 on aesthetic potential. The comments section became a brutal roast that I moderated with surgical precision, removing anything too cruel, but letting the constructive criticism through. At 28 through my collapse, I convinced myself I was building a community, not committing a war crime against intimacy. The worst decision I made, the one that makes everything else look like foreplay, was the premium tier. For $100 a month, subscribers got access to the raw comparison spreadsheet. 37 people signed up. 37 strangers had access to every measurement, every note, every insecurity I'd projected onto Marcus's body. I told myself it was anonymous, that I'd cropped his face out. But his birthmark, that constellation of freckles on his lower back, was visible in one shot. Someone in the comments mentioned recognizing it. I deleted the comment and kept going. The breaking point didn't happen all at once. It was a series of hairline fractures that I kept flexing against, testing how much pressure they could take before shattering. The first major crack appeared at a dinner party in October. Marcus's friend Tyler pulled me aside, drunk on craft beer and moral superiority. "Dude, are you posting about Marcus's body online?" He showed me something weird on Reddit. My blood crystallized. I'd been cross-posting to fitness forums for broader reach. I told Tyler it was a misunderstanding, a parody account that had stolen my content. He nodded slowly, not buying it, and went back to the party. I found Marcus in the kitchen, laughing with Jenna about something that made his eyes crinkle. He looked so genuinely happy in that moment, and all I could think was how his laugh lines weren't symmetrical. I went to the bathroom and threw up. By November, my support system was actively disintegrating. Jenna stopped answering my texts. My mother called, concerned that Marcus had posted something cryptic about digital consent on his Facebook. I hadn't even known he still used Facebook. I checked his profile. He'd shared an article about privacy in relationships with the caption, "Learning this the hard way." No tags, no names, but our mutual friends could read between the lines. The comments were full of solidarity and heart emojis. My own phone stayed silent. At 53 through this confession, the person getting hurt was still oblivious to the full scope. Marcus kept asking if I was okay, if work was stressing me out. He'd bring me coffee in bed, kiss my forehead, and I'd calculate the angle of his jawline against Chris Evans's while smiling up at him. The cognitive dissonance was eating me alive. The direct question came in December. We just finished having sex, that vulnerable post-coital quiet that demands honesty. Marcus traced circles on my shoulder and asked, "Do you still find me attractive, or am I just content for your brand now?" I laughed. It was the wrong laugh, the high, brittle kind that shatters on impact. I told him he was being paranoid. He sat up, the sheet falling away, and I instinctively noted how his obliques caught the lamplight. "I'm not stupid, Kayla," he said. "I see you watching me like I'm a specimen. Is that what I am now?" I deflected with accusations of my own. How dare he belittle my work? How could he not trust me? I cried. He comforted me. The subject dropped. But at 61 through this story, I knew he'd found the external drive. I just didn't know how much he'd seen. The biggest revelation didn't come from me. It came from a DM notification at 2 a.m. on New Year's Eve. Marcus was asleep beside me, his phone dark. Mine lit up with a message from Jenna, but it wasn't for me. She'd accidentally sent me a screenshot of a conversation with Marcus. The message read, "I can't do this anymore." The comparison account, the spreadsheet, "She's making money off my body. I found the Patreon. I'm staying at Tyler's." My fingers went numb. The screenshot showed my premium tier page, all of it. The spreadsheet, the measurements, the income reports showing I'd made nearly $12,000 off his body. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was Jenna's reply, "Come over whenever. I made up the guest room. You deserve someone who sees you." At 72 through this confession, the most damning detail is that Marcus knew for 3 weeks before confronting me. He'd found the external drive while looking for old tax documents. He read everything. Watched the Patreon videos where I narrated his aesthetic shortcomings in clinical detail. He didn't say a word because he wanted to see how deep this went. He screenshotted everything, consulted a lawyer, and during those 3 weeks I kept posting. The final post, the one that broke him, was a year-end review comparing his progress photos to Michael B. Jordan's training montage. I'd written, "Client M shows dedication but genetic limitations." He read that while I slept next to him. The immediate fallout was surgical in its precision. Marcus moved out while I was at a brand meeting, taking only what he could prove he'd purchased himself. He left the engagement ring I'd bought. In my delusion, I'd planned to propose in a Ziploc bag on the kitchen counter with a note, "Not sure if you wanted to compare this to Tiffany's catalog. Best of luck." Jenna publicly announced their relationship 3 weeks later, not as a couple but as two people who learned to see each other honestly. The post went viral. My name trended for 3 days. Toxic influencer became my permanent digital tattoo. By February, the consequences had metastasized. My management dropped me, citing brand safety concerns. The Patreon subscribers evaporated, but not before one of them uploaded the entire premium archive to Reddit. It got 14,000 upvotes on our relationships. People made TikToks reading my notes aloud, dramatic reenactments of me measuring Marcus's biceps while he slept. My DMs became a graveyard of former followers sending me my own quotes about authenticity and self-love. The fitness brands I'd critiqued publicly sent me cease and desist letters for using their images in defamatory contexts. At 85 through this aftermath, the unexpected consequence was that Marcus and Jenna's relationship became a symbol of healing. They did a joint podcast about digital consent and bodily autonomy. It hit #1 on Apple Podcasts. My ex and my best friend were now the faces of healthy boundaries. The moment of genuine self-awareness broke through in therapy, which I started after my mother threatened to stop paying my rent if I didn't get my shit together. Dr. Patel asked me point-blank, when did you start treating people as assets instead of human beings? I tried to explain the algorithm, the engagement metrics, the pressure to stay relevant. She interrupted, no. When did you decide that love required a profit margin? The question landed like a punch. I realized I'd been performing intimacy so long I'd forgotten how to feel it. Every compliment I'd given Marcus came with a mental footnote. Every touch was data collection. I turned my boyfriend into a case study and called it content. At 92 through this story, my current state is this: I'm renting a studio apartment. I work at a coffee shop where nobody knows my name. Marcus and Jenna are still together, and they seem genuinely happy. I check their profiles maybe twice a day now, down from 20. I'm telling this story now because yesterday, a customer at the coffee shop recognized me. She asked if I was that comparison girl. I said no. She squinted, said I looked familiar, and left a 1-star review claiming the barista with the fake name gave her decaf instead of regular. The review went live at 3 a.m., and I realized something: I was still performing. Still moderating perceptions. Still trying to control the narrative. The difference is, now I'm doing it alone. No Patreon subscribers to validate my delusions. No Marcus to photograph without consent. Just me, the laptop I can't bring myself to throw away, and a folder labeled market research that I've transferred to 3 different external drives. The calculus of self-loathing goes like this: I compared him because I couldn't stop comparing myself. Every flaw I cataloged in Marcus was a flaw I saw in me, magnified and monetized. He left because he finally understood what I'd been too cowardly to admit, that I was never really looking at him. I was looking at me, reflected in his skin, and finding us both wanting. Jenna didn't steal him. She just saw him fully and without metrics, while I was busy calculating his depreciation value. The real betrayal wasn't the spreadsheet or the Patreon. It was that I had access to genuine love and I treated it like content. So judge me, cancel me, or worse, forget me. That's what I deserve. But before you do, ask yourself, how many times have you scrolled past someone you love looking for something better?